Hi, I'm Cathy Klasne. I'm the food editor at the Daytona Beach News-Journal, and we're here in my kitchen today to demonstrate one of the recipes for the $1 a meal plan at Sav-a-lot supermarket. We are going to change it up a little bit today. I actually did the shopping for this dish at Aldi, which is a new discount supermarket in the area, discount grocer. And it's very similar to Sav-a-lot, but I think it was slightly more expensive for the items that I was getting for this recipe. It's going to be a breakfast casserole, and it's a real easy recipe. There's no measuring, and there's very little equipment needed. Just a baking dish, the skillet which is on the stove. I like to use nonstick spray because things stick otherwise. And I also like to use parchment paper sometimes for some of the things I'm going to be doing. But that's not really necessary. You don't really need that. I have a knife, but you don't really even have to cut anything. I just found these in my refrigerator, just a couple of little green onions and a couple of strips of bell pepper that need to be used. So I'm going to throw them in there. The recipe, the way it's written, just calls for 3 ingredients, and in this order. Crescent rolls, and then a sausage, a breakfast sausage of some sort, and then this is something else I don't usually use, but it's inexpensive. The first thing that they say to do is to preheat the oven, which we can do, and brown the sausage. I'm going to turn it down a tiny touch so that I can do a couple of other things over here. Let it cook for a minute. Let's spray our baking dish so nothing sticks. Just going to cut up the vegetables. Try to join up all the little sections when you're layering it in. Believe me, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it covered. No one will know. With sausage especially, I try to follow that old rule of cooking pork thoroughly because it's ground meat. Ground meat is a little bit more risky, I feel, than whole pieces like pork chops. And you can see we're starting to render some fat, which is okay. I'll show you how to get rid of that. One thing you do not want to do is pour this fat down the sink. I have a glass jar or something that can take the heat sitting inside the sink. I put it in there. I try not to pour grease on top of my counter because it's nasty to clean up. Now I poured off most of that oil, but there's still enough left to cook my little extra surprise ingredients that I like. There's not a lot of these because it's just leftover. I didn't want to add any expense. But they're going to go in. And I'm just going to like soften them up a little bit. I want there to be maybe a little crunch, but I don't want them to be hard. The next thing that we do is we put the meat right on here, right on that layer of crescent roll dough. Now. And then the next thing is this wonderful cheese. This is probably the most time-consuming part of the whole recipe is opening this cheese. And it makes, I think, a lot of waste. I'm not crazy about this at all. But it is cheap. Okay, now the next thing are these wonderful crescent rolls again. Now, I'm going to try it this way to see if it helps. The first time I was like sort of slipping and sliding on the casserole when I was trying to build the top layer. So I'm just going to try to lay it out on my parchment paper, which doesn't stick, and get everything joined up well, and then move it over to the pan. We'll see if that works. Okay. Let's see if this works. Okay. Now I'm just going to peel it off. Parchment paper is so wonderful. Okay, now open the door here. I keep my pizza stone in the oven all the time because I think it helps to regulate the heat throughout the oven. Put that right in there. Okay. Well, I think we're ready. Open the oven door all the way. You don't want it to snap up and hit you in the arm and burn you. I've had that happen to me before. Pull the rack out to get your item out so you don't hurt yourself. And That looks pretty good. It looks as good as a Hot Pocket. And 2 of these slices is a serving. It's good and cheap. What more could you want?